All right, everybody, here we go with an overview of yesterday's work. So, I'm going to go through all of the problems with you, solve them. You can check your work, and if you have any questions after watching this video, please do let me know or hop onto my office hours from 11:30 to 12:30 on Zoom, and we can get those answered one-on-one. So, first questions, we got how many of each type of atom is in the molecule. I got a nice chart here where I already have the atoms identified and I just got to fill in the amounts. Cool. So, looking right here, 12 NaCl. Well, I've got a molecule that I'm going to want to put a square around, and I certainly don't want it to cover up the molecule. But I did that so I would remember that this 12 right here, this 12 needs to go to the Na, and it needs to go to the Cl. Alright, so with that, I can say Na is going to have 12 total atoms, because 12 times 1 is 12, right? And when there's no subscript, I assume it's just a 1. Same goes for Cl. 12 times 1 is 12, so we're golden there. Alright, now let's take a look at problem number 2. I see a little bit more complicated of a molecule here. I've got parentheses and a subscript, but no coefficient. So I'm not going to worry about the box. I'm just going to look at it. I see I've got Na and then OH in parentheses with the 2. I know that this 2 is only going to apply to what's in the parentheses before it. So the 2 is only going to the O and to the H. Alright? So what that tells me is that I have 2O and 2H, because remember, no coefficient, none means 1, or subscript. No subscript means 1, so 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 1 is 2. Then for sodium, I'm not going to multiply by 2. This 2 does not care about the sodium, because the sodium is outside of those parentheses. So the sodium has no coefficient, no number before it, no subscript, no number after it. So that doesn't mean there's 0 sodium, it just means there's only 1. Alright? Think about it like in algebra. You don't write like 1x plus 2 equals 5, right? You would just write x plus 2 equals 5. Alright, let's move on to problem number 3. So identify what atoms are present, and then how many are present. So a little more complicated. Now we have to say which atoms are here, and then how many of these atoms are here. So let's start just by looking at the molecule. We've got KCl2. So how do I tell what elements there are? Well, I look for capital letters. The first capital letter I see is K. Is there any lowercase after K? There is not. There's just a capital C. So I know my next atom is going to start with capital C. Then I've got lowercase l. So my two types of atoms are K and Cl. And I know that there wasn't an atom called Kc because those are two capital letters. And whenever there's a new capital letter, I'm moving on to a new element. So now let's take a look at the amount. We are going to want to put a little box right around our molecule. Okay. So we know that this 4 applies to everything in the box. This 4 goes to the K, and this 4 goes to the Cl. Okay. So for K, I see I've got my coefficient of 4, and I have no subscript. No subscript, none means 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Alright, now let's look at Cl. A little more complicated here. I've got both a coefficient and a subscript. So I need to do coefficient of 4 multiplied by subscript of 2, and that's going to give me 8. Alright. Moving on, question number 4. identify what atoms are present and then how many are present. So same problem as number 3, just a different molecule to work with. So let's start by identifying what atoms are here. I see a capital H to start, so H. You're never going to be putting like numbers when you're identifying the atom. When I say identify the atom, I mean like literally what element, what from the periodic table of elements is it. So any lowercase afterwards? Nope. So H is done. Next up, I've got a capital O. So the other type of atom must be oxygen because it's just an O. Now for the amount, I see I have no coefficient, no big number in front. I only have a subscript. So what that tells me is I am just going to take the subscript into account. There's going to be no other multiplying to do. Since this subscript, this 2 right here, is only talking to the atom before it, it only goes to the H. So that 2 is only part of the H. It doesn't care about this O. The subscript only cares about the atom before it. So that means this O has no subscript, no coefficient. We know that none means 1. Alright, hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have other questions about yesterday's work.